Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to Red Hot Talk once again. And before I start, just want to, apologize for last week's interruptions. There was my internet provider. Apparently, there's some fiber connection fault that affected the whole area. That's why I was disconnected, and after that my connection was very slow, and obviously the boot up is not usually instant. It takes a while. So yeah, unfortunately the last week's stream also being deleted by YouTube as well because software issue, because once
didn't meet their quality standards.
No, didn't meet the quality standards, and my software was simply just basically hung in a loop, so it's going back and forth. I couldn't stop the stream until someone told me that I was still streaming. It's like, what? I wasn't streaming. Then I realized that the program was stuck in the background looping the stream, even though I already stopped it. And so I had to kill the video because it was getting like 6 hours long by that time. So so by the time I killed it, it actually got erased as well. So that's why you can't see the last week's stream, unfortunately. So that's my apology. So hopefully, let's fingers crossed, hopefully this week I don't encounter the same problem again. And well, this is the thing about having a live stream, right? Live, anything can happen, unfortunately. But speaking of which, and just another episode talking about Micro Four Third, or technically, it's not really Micro Four Third camera though, right, Rod? It's a camera with a 4/3 sensor. That's how I would see it. It doesn't even have a Micro Four Third logo on the camera, because usually a Micro Four Third camera will carry the logo, the little Micro Four Third logo on the body, but this one doesn't. So technically, it isn't really a Micro Four Third. It doesn't use any Micro Four Third mount, which is what it's about. But let's talk about this particular camera here, which is the brand new Lumix L10. And I don't know. I would like to hear from all of you your reactions to the L10 after you've seen presumably Emily's videos and all the others reviewers' videos on the L10. You might have seen some reports and sample images and product photos and everything. We're going to talk all about that today, and just trying to get a sense of personally, my own reaction and also your one as well, just to see whether this is the camera that could rescue Lumix in some way. But, just put it frankly, because Lumix has been relatively quiet and in the Micro Four Third space. So is this exciting to see a brand new product that's come out? Not only just a brand new product, it's a product that also replaces or succeeds the very, very popular LX100 line. When did it stop making them? The LX100, was it like 3-4 years ago?
Oh, it must be about that, yeah. But what the burning question on my mind is, why isn't it the LX103? Why is it the L10? And didn't Panasonic use the L10 name before with an early DSLR?
I'm not entirely sure, but surely,
So,
the
LX,
the LX is definitely the two letters mean something to the community, and I was curious about why they didn't just call it LX100 3. But I guess there was a reason for that, which we're gonna talk about it, simply because it is, a spiritual successor to the LX100, but it isn't really a direct replacement, because of a few things that we're going to talk about today. And first of all, and just say hi to everybody. I can see that everyone's already chipping in. And the last comment is basically what I want to start off the discussion today. This the price. I want to see that right here. €1,500 in the UK. It is $12.99, I believe. Rod, you checked the price in the UK.
Yeah, $12.99 when it becomes available. That is the price being given by retailers, but very unusually they're saying they're not saying pre-order, they're saying register your interest. So
that's interesting.
I think we can say that it's likely to be $12.99 in UK. But we don't know where. I remain to be convinced it's coming to the UK anytime soon.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And in the state is in terms of number is 100 more, so it's going to be $13.99 But of course, excluding sales tax or local tax, whatever you may have to pay, depending on your region. So it isn't a cheap camera. So let's talk a little bit about the pricing strategy, because traditionally, the LX wasn't a cheap camera to start with. It's more than a premium compact.
The LX100 came out at $850 in the UK, $999 in the States. So this is about a 45% price hike.
Yep, that's about, you know, basically what all the inflations and everything that we can count on.
Well,
you
could say that.
Yeah.
But Panasonic, I think Panasonic is taking the opportunity to put a bit more on again, because it's a later sensor. So
it is. I mean, which we're going to talk about it as well. And but I think pricing wise, personally speaking, I think is about right. And I know it's expensive, but even the original LX100 wasn't cheap either. You know, at $850, let's say round it up to £900 when it first came out, the LX100. In that time, you know, I think that, you know, everything was a lot cheaper than you can get a EM10 Mark III at the time. I think you can probably get it for about £500. So an £900 compact camera is expensive, right? You know, you think about, you can get an interchangeable camera for a lot less than that. Equally, you know, now if you look at the current pricing of the L10, you know, at £1,300, $1,400 and €1,500, it's not cheap. You can get an interchangeable camera for less than that as well. You know, you can get the OM5 Mark II. You can even basically, with current cashback, with the OM3, you can get that as well, which is kind of crazy.
But there is no mirrorless lens equivalent to what this camera has. You cannot get a 24-75 f1.7 to 2.8 equivalent lens in an interchangeable mount. They don't exist.
Yeah.
So it's unique in that respect. It
is in which is something that I think people may get a little bit mixed, you know, in terms of feeling, you know, like and earlier I did say that this is a spiritual successor, not quite a direct replacement of the original LX100. Not only just about the price hike or the price increase for the latest generation, but also in terms of the size, the form factor. Many people may not be aware that the new L10 camera is actually as big, I wouldn't say as small, as big as the X100 which is quite a big camera, because the original LX100, even the latest iteration of that camera, the Leica D-Lux 8, is quite a bit smaller and lighter than the L10.
It will be noticeably smaller in the hand. It's also 100 grams lighter. The L10 comes in at just over 500 grams versus, I think, just under 400 for the LX100 and the D-Lux 8.
Yeah, and I don't know, Paul, many of you already seen Emily's videos, and she has the first hands-on from Japan. How about the camera? She held it in her hand, and you can clearly see that it's not a small camera anymore, which is unfortunate, because to me, the LX100 is always going to be that tiny camera. Literally, it's the size of the OM5, just minus the EVF on top. It's quite a bit smaller, but the new camera is actually bigger than the OM5 in terms of the width and height and the depth.
It's probably a similar size to the Pen F, wouldn't you say?
No, it's taller. It's taller than the Pen F.
It?
Yeah, it's taller than the Pen F, and also if I give a comparison, it's almost the same size as the Lumix Fujifilm S9. So that's how big it is. So to me, I have mixed feeling about that in terms of form factor, because if I was to get a convenient all-in-one camera for travel, for instance, a pocketable camera, you know, for me, pocketable is the LX100 size kind of camera, you know, and it's something I could slip into my back jean pocket. This one you can, but just about, you know, you can kind of squeeze into it. And but the thing is, because it's almost the same size as the Fujifilm X100 camera, but the X100 has a much flatter lens because it's a prime lens, and this guy has a zoom lens built in, so it's actually protrude out of the body by quite a bit.
Yes,
it's not really a thing that you can easily slip into your jeans pocket. And
just as well, just to go back briefly to my comment earlier about the name.
Yep.
It has been used before, because the Panasonic Lumix DMC L10 launched in 2007 as a 10 megapixel DSLR style camera.
Okay.
So that's confusing. The L10, the new L10, it is being launched in 2026. But there was an old L10, which was quite a different camera, launched in 2007. So I wonder if everyone at Panasonic is so young they've forgotten. They've accidentally used an old name.
Or sometimes people don't go far enough back in history to look at the naming convention. And Jeff actually said that when he first looked at the L10, it looks like he thought it was a full frame camera. Well, if you think about it, because of the size, it's very close to the S9, which is a full frame camera. So it's not surprising to think like that, especially when you see on the reviewer's hands, and that you can see how big it is, which is kind of contradicting, because in Emily's video she said, obviously she's Michael Four nurse, who's always known for having tiny cameras and raised about tiny cameras. She actually said this is a tiny camera, but in my eyes this is not a tiny camera anymore. It's actually grown quite a bit. Size wise is something that I would not say tiny anymore. It's travel friendly, let's put it that way, but it's definitely not a compact camera that people who have used LX100 Mark 1 and Mark 2, or even the new D-Lux would can familiar with themselves with, because it's quite a bit bigger, quite a bit heavier, even though the lens is essentially, I may not be right, but the same lens. And to me it looks the same lens. I'm sure it must be.
Must be.
Yeah. So this is interesting to me in terms of form factor, and this is why I said that this is not really a replacement. It's a spiritual successor. It has the same spirit of the LX100, but it isn't, because it's just a bit too big for my taste. However, if you ask me, I'm probably still interested in getting one for a few reasons that I would like to discuss now. So how are you guys thinking about the L10? I think that you see quite a lot of comments here, and so this tourist can actually say that. I'm going to bring that up here. I wonder how many people will buy the L10 over the S9. Interesting you bring that up, because it's quite a different camera altogether. The S9 obviously is a interchangeable camera. You can put different lenses on it, but you also know that the S cameras doesn't have many compact lenses. So even though it is supposed to be a small system camera, but it doesn't have lenses to go with it. I know recently Lumix have put out the 40 f2. You can get third-party lenses like 7 Artisan or TT Artisan's 40 f2, or many other like Sigma 35 f2. You can get small-ish lenses that mount on the S9, but the overall size is still not going to be the same size as the L10. Even though I say that it's got the same height and same width, but because this is a built-in lens, so and it's a zoom lens as well. We got the 20. Was it 24 to 75 or 28 to 75?
24 to 75, I think.
Yeah, so you've got a good range there, and it's a very usable 1.7 to 2.8 aperture. So you are getting a very optimized lens with a very usable focal length cover all in one package.
It's amusing to me that things are completely swapped round. So the S9 is likely to be a lot cheaper, even though it's a full-frame camera. But also, even though the S9 is designed for video and filmmaking, the L10 blows it away for video capabilities. So everything's gone upside down in this crazy world.
So this is interesting to me in multiple ways. Is that Rod just basically mentioned that in terms of specification, the L10 is actually quite a bit more advanced and better than the S9, and if you ask me, even though it's regardless about the sensor size, but in terms of the spec itself, because the L10 has the GX7 sensor, which can I come back to it, but we have the GX7 sensor, which is a very capable micro four thirds sensor with high megapixel 25, and then it can shoot very good videos, and also has very advanced PDAF, a hybrid focusing system. So on paper, this guy is cracking, you know, like just looking at numbers and things. I can shoot multi-aspect ratio photos, and you can do 4K videos, and you can do open gate. You can even do 4K 120 without crops. These are all the signature of the GX7, which is also being put over to the L10. So if you're in that kind of space, and that you need to have, you know, a really good photo capabilities, but also very, very good video capabilities, the L10 is hard to beat for that price and the size, because the S9 cannot do what the L10 does in terms of either, really, you know. And apart from being a full frame sensor, you got better depth of field, or shallow depth of field. No, I wouldn't say better, but shallow depth of field if you're into that thing, or maybe slightly cleaner images in a high ISO range. But overall, I think the L10 as a general camera is going to be trump over the S9.
I think so. Can I just I think I just saw a comment from Linda saying,
okay, I'll bring that up.
The L10 looked a tad too heavy and has no flippy screen. It does have a flippy screen.
It does have a fully articulated screen to flip out.
Yes.
And although if you're
but the heaviness, yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, which I mean, to be honest, you know, and I probably would like to get my hands on one, and just to try out myself to see exactly how it feels. Personally, you know, I would rather have the L10 than the S9, but now I have the S9, and then I don't necessarily need to get the L10.
Should have waited.
Well, I mean, I wanted to test some
L
lenses. Yeah, so that's the thing about it, you know. But the LX100 has always been one of my favorite cameras in the 4/3 space. Even way back when it first came out years and years ago. Even though I was an Olympus guy, but I was still really liking that camera because of how small it is, how capable it is, and it's just the overall form factor. I mean, like I said, it's a pocketable camera. I can't really say the same about the latest camera, unfortunately. Like I mentioned about the size difference there and the weight. But you know, it's still an interesting camera when it comes to spec. So let's talk a little bit about that as well now. On paper, this has the GX7 sensor, which has the same resolution, which is 25-26, but Panasonic is claiming that it only has 20.7 megapixel. So Rod can tell you a little bit more about that, because the same thing happened to the original LX100 as well, right?
So they've deliberately gone for a multi-aspect sensor. This is what they call it. So that the way they deliberately use a smaller sensor area than the actual sensor area available, just to make sure that the different aspect ratios stay very close in megapixels. So it'll shoot 4:3, like we're all used to for Micro Four Thirds. It'll shoot 3:2 with no real megapixel loss. And it'll shoot 16:9 again with not much of a loss in megapixels. You do lose a bit with 1:1, but it's purposely designed to offer all these different aspect ratios without the usual cropping penalties. But that does mean the top resolution is slightly down on what the MFT sensor can do. But this is what Panasonic did with the LX100 and the LX100 II. So all three of these cameras actually have a ring on a lens barrel for changing the aspect ratio. I love that, but I would warn people from my past experience, I don't know if it's still the case, that is a hard crop. You can't go into Lightroom later and say, do you know what, I'd rather have 3:2, because the crop you choose on the camera is the crop you get. That's how it used to be. I don't know if it still is. But that's why they call it a multi-aspect sensor, so that you can use all these different aspect ratios without feeling that you're cropping off too much of the sensor.
No, that is right. And so I think that is also basically using the same theory or same fundamentals as the original LX100.
That's right.
But in terms of video spec, which does utilize the entire image circle, if I can say that, basically you can shoot open gate, so you can try to stretch all the way out to the top and the bottom and to the side to get you as big of an image as possible for allowing for that particular thing. But one thing it does have still is the OIS, and I don't think it has IBIS, so it's still using optical stabilization, which has been demonstrated by Emily in Japan when she was holding the camera trying to vlog with the camera. You can clearly see the shakes there, which doesn't usually happen when you're using on the Micro Four Third camera. So that is something that is a little bit disappointing, and because of the growth in size, and you would have thought that, you know, with that bigger body, you would be able to put some kind of IBIS system inside.
You might think that, but then maybe the lens doesn't have enough of an image, doesn't have enough spare image circle to accommodate a moving sensor. I'm just trying to, I'm guessing, I'm just trying to picture this. That may have something to do with it. I would think the OIS is probably all right for static stills photography, but not so much for video.
No.
But do you think, Jimmy, it's a bit embarrassing for Panasonic that the full frame S-line bodies have never been able to get very close to the video specs of the MFT sensor?
Well, I mean, it's not really embarrassing. I think it's limited by perhaps the internal between the finance team and the engineering team. The engineer obviously want to do a lot, but of course it will cost a lot more if they want to get close to what the MFT camera can do. And it's unfortunately, if you look at, you know, all the other full frame video centric cameras out there, and they are quite a bit chunkier. They need a lot of heat sinks and dissipations, active cooling, and all kinds of stuff. The Micro Four Third, on the other hand, because the sensor size is physics, you know, it doesn't generate as much heat as the bigger sensor, and even when you're shooting a higher frame rate, that's just physics, unfortunately. And so we can get away with a lot more with a smaller form factor, sort of a smaller sensor than a bigger sensor to achieve that kind of performance in the Micro Four Third. It will involve a lot of latest tech, and that means a lot more expensive. So they really can't get to that kind of pricing, you know, with that kind of technology, unfortunately.
I suppose what I'm getting at is that this idea that a bigger format is always better, it doesn't necessarily work for everything. It's easier to get high frame rates in a smaller sensor than it is a bigger one.
Absolutely. So Micro Four Third still has its own advantage, and when it comes to this sort of thing, that is why I always say that Micro Four Third is not dead, and Micro Four Third is still here. Micro Four Third is going to continue like this because we can do something that a bigger format cannot do, and you know, it's a lot of things. I mean, like, look, I'm not just about using Micro Four Third now, even though that I am an ambassador, but it's just that. I use multiple format for different jobs, and but Micro Four Third, I know the strength about this system, and I know what it can do. And in the right hands, you know, this thing is unbeatable when it comes to performance per pound, and also when it comes to the overall system size. And people can argue about that, but system size is still going to be a lot smaller than any equivalent formats that are bigger than the Micro Four Third. So let's put it that way, but. Let's go back to the L10. So the sensor is the GX7. It also has a GX7's processor, which is the S2, which is quite an advanced sensor, and it means that it should basically matching the same sort of quality of the G9 Mark II and the GX7 when it comes to the photo quality. I've already seen some comment there saying that it is a 20 megapixel output for photos. Yeah, you're right there. This side tourist screen just put it there. So it is a 20 megapixel output, even though the sensor is 25. And so I know earlier we talked about the IBIS scenarios, and maybe you're right there, Rod, that, you know, the lens rear element doesn't have big enough image circles to allow for that kind of IBIS movement. I think, you know, for Panasonic to launch L10, they could have gone a little bit further, just to, you know, let's hypothetically speaking, that they kept the same design as the old LX100 lens. They didn't do any modification whatsoever, and you can kind of imagine why they can't put IBIS in it. But they could have redesigned the lens and make the rear big enough to cover IBIS. And because the body has gone bigger, and you know, they have more real estate to be able to accommodate that kind of systems inside a body. To me, I think it's kind of just a little bit of a missed opportunity. Imagine this camera has IBIS. It will be like, oh, this is cool. You know, you have IBIS in this thing.
I don't think you should dismiss the optical stabilization in the lens completely. I don't think it's going to give you quite the same compensation as IBIS,
Yeah.
But it's still significant that it has it. It's still important. It's still
Yeah.
worth having.
Yeah.
As for why it doesn't have IBIS, I don't suppose it's because it couldn't be done, but I think it's what you were remarking on earlier with the full frame cameras. They have to decide how much to spend and how much to change and how much it would cost. And I think probably the existing lens and its optical stabilization is a cost that they don't want to redevelop something that kind of does almost everything it should do anyway. So I think it's probably not a priority.
No, you're quite right there. And Linda also bring out something that I also want to talk about as well, as the L10 does have a few things that S9 doesn't have. And in fact, it's something that I personally treasure, which is the EVF. It's interesting because this morning I went out to meet Michael Plant, and from DxO, you might remember him. Yeah. I met him this morning. I met him this morning in Olympia for a photo London show. I met him. I had a chat about general stuff. But one topic that we talked about is the newer generation of photographer using back screen shooting against or comparing to older photographer like myself, using a viewfinder, and what are the differences between these two type of photographers. And he brought out a point that which is quite interesting. He said people who shoot with the back screen and the back screen only are those who are reacting to a event, while people who are looking through a viewfinder are those photographers who anticipate an event. And it's a very interesting way he puts it, reacting to an event to anticipating an event. When you're looking through a viewfinder, it's covered up, right? You're just looking through a window and you're just hoping to see something to happen. So you're anticipating something. And I can kind of get what he's saying there. If you're looking at the back screen, you are focusing on the screen and you are looking at what the screen tells you before you click the shutter button. So you're reacting to what's being projected to you or presented to you through the screen. And it's an interesting thought about that. And
sounds like a philosophy lecture.
it is. So it's quite an interesting talk. But anyway, so I do personally like the EVF, or at least have an EVF, some sort of viewfinder through the system instead of just looking at the back screen. It's not just about viewing over the bright sunny day and things like that, but I always enjoy looking through a viewfinder than anything else. So for that, even that one thing alone, and I would say that it's a better camera than the S9. That's only personally. I mean, I love the S9 now, and don't get me wrong. It's just that I think the L10 is a little bit better.
It's interesting what Michael should have said there. I mean, I suppose my reaction is I hadn't thought of it in those terms. I think for me, the EVF is for when you can't see the rear screen, which if you do a lot of outdoor photography is fairly often. But I would say that when you're using the rear screen, you can be looking at the scene and using the camera at the same time. I think the rear screen is in some ways much better for anticipating a shot than the EVF. So there's pros and cons. Interesting.
It is. I mean, it's and also with for those who shoot with rangefinders, cameras before, like film or digital, doesn't matter. How people usually talk about, they keep both eyes open. So like when you use one eye looking through the rangefinder window, the other eye is open, so you can see what's coming into the frame. It's kind of like back screen shooting. You're looking outside the frame and to see what's coming, and before you shoot, before you take the shot.
So I mean, I've always felt that my EP7 was better for kind of street photography, but I never thought about why until I realized just then that's why, because the way you had to use that camera, you can see the whole world while you're taking pictures. Whereas if I use a different camera and use the EVF, you can't see what's outside it. So while in EVF, I would rather have a camera with an EVF because sometimes you just can't see the rear screen. But the rear screen does make you shoot and see things in a different way, I think.
Okay, let's have a look at another comment from this side to the screen as well. Most reviewers are saying that the L10 is a photo-centric camera over video, but I think it is a hybrid. I wouldn't disagree actually, because you know, the video spec coming up from this camera is crazy, and then
yeah, I have a theory about that, as you know, Jimmy, because I probably bored you with it earlier. I think the video specs and that sensor and processor comes a package.
yep.
If you're getting that sensor, you're going to get those video specs. I don't suppose for a minute the Panasonic thought we have to make this good at video. I think it just comes as a package.
The package.
You want one, you get the other. So I think Panasonic will be happy to pitch it as a hybrid camera if people pick up on that, or they'll pitch it as a stills camera if people pick up on that. We'll see.
Well, another way of looking at Lumix is that you know, it's almost like a Lumix tradition in a way. You know, the G9 Mark II was supposed to be a photocentric camera, but when the G9 Mark II came out, it actually performs better than the GX6. So you know, like you can say the same thing about the G9 Mark II. You know, it's a very capable video camera, and but it's labeled as a photocentric camera. It's
tough, isn't it? The camera makers are confusing the hell out of people with all this stuff. Yeah, it's true what you said about the G9 Mark II. It was so good at video. You would think, why would I get the GH6? Yeah. But you might also say, I got a GH6. It's so good at stills. I didn't need the G9 Mark II. It kind of works both ways. They've made things complicated for all of us.
It is. Well, that's the exact reason why I sold the G9 Mark II and kept the GX7 after that. And then, although I sold the GX6 as well, but the GX7, I kept the GX7 because I use the GX7 for my video stuff, and I know you can take stills, very good stills actually, and but I keep that as a video camera more than anything else, and because it has active cooling, that means I don't have to worry about overheating if I shoot in a prolonged period of time under direct sunlight and stuff like that. So it was still going to be a better camera video wise than the G9 Mark II for that very one reason, and otherwise, you know, I think the L10 is just stuck with the Lumix tradition. Whenever Lumix take out a camera, they really can't ignore the video side of it. You know, they're always going to have something that is going to keep, you know, the video people happy.
I've got a feeling that the aperture ring has got click stops.
It has click stop, and then and also the but everything's by wire, so it's not technically it's not mechanical.
But what I'm saying is, I think that Panasonic probably would aim this at stills photographers, but if it gets thousands of influencers leaping on it, it's a creator camera. They'll go that way instead. Yeah.
Well, Linda also said that I'm probably the only only one in the universe who loves the multi-format sensor.
Oh, I love it. I thought it was great. I only used the LX100 briefly, but I love that.
Yeah. Well, but Lumix is not the first one. Well, not the only one doing the multi-aspect ratios camera. If you look at the Fujifilm GFX cameras, they have multi-aspect ratio too. You know, the RF, the GFX 100 RF that you like, Rod, that has a multi-aspect ratio dials at the back that you can change the aspect ratio to. Yeah, I'm
all for anything that's an important creative decision. I'm all for having that as a dial or a lever or a button. Not a menu item.
Right, let's see what else in here, but I would like to hear from you guys about the you know, your reactions to L10. The more the merrier. Just want to see you know, your thought about the L10, whether you would like to get one when it finally becomes available, and whether that will be the camera, you know, for you to keep it next to your current system, and to take it along, you know, or just use it as an everyday camera when you're not doing something serious, for instance, maybe going for a holiday or just walk about and things like that. That will be the only camera you ever need. To me, it does kind of serve that purpose, and while it may not be, you know, the all singing, all dancing camera with the ruggedness that can be abused under professional environments, but it's certainly capable enough of doing something quite serious. You know, if you really put your minds to it, it certainly has the capability for it, for both stills and videos. So I think for the price, and I know it's expensive, it's actually, to my eyes anyway, better than the X100 Fujifilm rangefinder style camera. I know that one, to me, it's still maybe a little bit prettier than L10, just because it looks like a Leica. But that's subjective. But in terms of specs, that may have a 40 megapixel, but in terms of versatilities, I think the L10 would be a way better option for those who want to do more than just street photography, just want to have general snaps, a little bit of a close-ups, a little bit of a tele-shootings, because the LX100's got a fixed prime. You know, it's equivalent to a 35mm f2 lens in full frame terms. That's really about it.
I think one of the things that's made the X100 series so desirable amongst people is the fact that it has a fixed focal length lens. People think it'll somehow make their photography purer or simpler. I don't think it does. I own one for a while and find it very hard to get along with for that reason. but I think I don't think I could use the L10 as my only camera either, because there would always be times when I thought if only it had gone wider, or if only it had gone longer. I'd love to have one, but it couldn't be my only camera.
No, you know, for those who want to get a travel camera or travel centric camera, you know, I wouldn't even say photographic or video centric. Now, travel centric, you know, basically form factor has to be small, light, and rugged. I mean, I think there are better option for that price point, you know, than the L10. One really good option, you know, if I may promote OM system, is probably the EM5, the OM5 line, because they are weather sealed, fully weather sealed. You can change different lenses on it. You can put pro lenses or prime lenses on it. I think the overall package with the 1.8 prime will probably still be a little bit smaller than the L10, but it's going to be a little bit heavy, because this guy is actually quite heavy compared to the L10.
Yeah, it's a different experience though. I mean, even if you get something in similar size, you're going to have to sacrifice the maximum aperture. Yes. And you're going to have a different physical experience because the L10 has physical exposure dials in a way that Micro Four Thirds cameras don't. So it's not just getting an equivalent size. The actual handling experience would be different too. But it does seem to. I think it's quite a good camera for people who never managed to get an X106.
I did see the comment earlier. Let me bring that up.
Yeah, quite.
There you go. At 1.5K, price wise, people are gonna get the X106 if you can get one.
for you can't get one though.
You can't get one.
You might be able to pick your moment on Amazon when somebody's got one, and it's actually real stock, not imaginary stock. But the big resellers don't have any. No. And it's not just about being in the same price bracket. It's a very different sort of camera. So the X106 is going to satisfy a very different type of user to the L10. Yes. The L10 has got much more versatility, but the X106 looks and handles in a much more restricted way, which is perhaps what certain parts of the audience is looking for. They want to be constrained and confined. So that their photography is like this pure and simple approach with one focal length. It doesn't suit me, but you know, it's a way to go as a break from zooms. I don't think you'd want to stick with that forever.
It is, yes. I mean, I can see people might be arguing, oh, you can just use one focal length in L10 too, right? You know, yes, you can, but the fact is, if you can't,
it does. It doesn't work that way physically, and it doesn't work that way in your head. Nobody can use a zoom as if it's a prime lens without ridiculous kind of mental contortions that most of us can't do. We know it's a zoom. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Yeah, let's pull it in a little bit more. Let's zoom it in a little bit more.
It's not going to happen. The only way it could happen is if somebody was brave enough to make a zoom with click stops at each focal length, like it did with the Vario Elmarit for M mount. It's kind of a zoom, but you have fixed détentes for the different focal lengths. So if somebody was brave enough to do that for a mirrorless lens, that might convince people.
The Tri-Elma.
That's right. Of course it was Tri-Elma. Yes.
The Tri-Elma. Yes.
Vario Elmarit zooms. Yeah, but the Tri-Elma, that's a neat idea.
Yeah, it's three fixed focal length. You basically you turn, you just change the focal length. There's nothing in between. You have to use one of those focal length, and that's it. Yes,
that would be all right. Then you would be using a prime lens, but just pretending a zoom is a prime. I've never been able to make it work in my own head, because you always revert back to just twiddling the zoom to suit yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's why it wasn't working. Sorry, I tweaking the autofocus for my streaming camera at the moment. I forgot to switch on the face focus. That's why I keep focusing my hand. But look, now it's focusing.
Put your hand down.
There you go. No. Look at that. There you go. It hold on to the face a lot longer than normal. That's good.
So, so your live streaming, your 2026 live streaming camera is almost as good now as your 5-year-old EM1X.
Well, this is great, right? You know, like, look. For people who've been tuning in for the first time, I'm using the YOLO cam, the very latest YOLO cam micro four thirds streaming camera. I'm also using the new 18mm f1.4 prime lens for this camera as well. So it's working quite well. You know, like the focus is quite snappy. I got product showcase, which is good, and it goes back to my face very well. And after tweaking a little bit, I think he's now found a sweet spot for this camera here. I can now work with this camera on streaming now. And but yeah, I think the color looks all right. You know, straight out of the box. I don't have to do too much to it, which is quite good. Yeah, it works very well. Works very well. But anyway, go back to the L10. Yes. What are we on now? And I also saw comments saying that both Canon and Sony has released new cameras today from Angela Player One.
What's the Sony one? What's the Sony one?
Yeah, I didn't know about Sony. I know the Canon. The Canon's got the R6V, and and I'm not sure about the Sony. Or are you talking about the
here we are.
A7
A7R6.
Yes,
there we go.
Yes, the new one.
When did that happen? Must be since we went online. I don't know. Didn't see that.
Yeah.
Right. What have we got here then? 66 megapixel fully stacked sensor. Good lord.
Oh my good. Fully stacked 66 megapixel. Yeah. How much is it? What, $6,000?
4.5.
4.5.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad actually.
You're gonna have to buy one.
Bad. Not too bad.
You're gonna have to buy one, Jimmy.
I like my stack sensor cameras.
that is well, that's quite impressive, isn't it? We'll have to go and buy that one now.
That is impressive. That is impressive. But to me, I'm not against high megapixel. It's just not. I just don't have the use case for it. I mean, I still much prefer between 20 to 30 megapixel. I don't want to go higher than 30 or lower than 20. Although I don't against lower. And if you give me the choice, I'd rather have lower than higher. And I don't have the need for it. I don't print big. And I mean, and people who may think that 20 megapixel is just not enough for printing, I'm pretty sure that
not true. It's not true.
Many people can argue with them. I mean, I shoot with 20 megapixel for weddings, and I'll print A5 albums, A3 albums. These are not small prints, and I even print as big as A2. No. It's plenty. It's plenty enough to do that. And for those high megapixel cameras are good for doing pixel printing in a wall size kind of display. And though in those situations you may want a high megapixels camera, but in the same time, you wouldn't want to say that I print that big. That means that the viewing distance is also different too. You're not going to go up close to inspect every single eyeballs in the actual photo. So you're going to step back about 6 feet to look at the photos as a whole. So
that's the thing. You only ever print big to look at them further away, don't you? Really, it's all about viewing distance as well.
Yeah, so it's depending on use case. So I'm never against lower megapixels. So that's why I always say, micro four third is now having that sweet spot for photos. 2025 is actually really plenty there. I could argue about the video. Yes, if you really want to have sharper and better looking video footage, and you always want to have oversample images. So having higher megapixel will help with that. But at the same time, you're going to introduce other things like noise and so forth in higher ISO environments, which is always one of the disadvantage of Micro Four Third platform. But apart from that, though, I think that it's as good as any equipment on the planet.
I'm just digressing very slightly, so I'm still quite excited by the A7R6.
Yep.
66 megapixels, fully stacked sensor, 8K video. I think it's 8K 60.
Jesus.
Did Sony just kill the A1 Mark II that they were selling to us for £6,500 last week?
Well,
not that I'm bitter.
The thing is, I mean, it's just like the Z9 and Z8 scenarios, right? You know, when the Z8 came out, it's like did Nikon just kill the Z9 with the Z8, which is a better camera in a smaller form factor?
It's difficult, isn't it? It's my general rule of thumb with buying any camera gear that you'll always buy the wrong thing at the wrong time. You just have to get used to it, put up with it.
Well, the best thing is just ignore what everybody says, ignore what things, you just get things that you want to get and get things that you like to get and just ignore the rest. And, you know, just try whatever things in your mind that you want to try and at a store. And if you're happy about it, just get it, you know, like that's the only way to ignore this nonsense. You know, we can never keep up with technologies anyway.
And if you start to want more than you need, that's when they've got you. That's when you're in trouble, because that's a bottomless pit then.
What is enough? What is enough?
So I'm looking at the A7R6, and I think if we were doing a talk about that, we'd be saying, oh, it does 8K 30, which it does, but it ought to be 8K 60 really, or 8K 120. The minute you start saying enough is not enough, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you know, like for most filmmakers, you know, like they would say, you know, we don't really care about autofocus. We don't really care about face detection. We don't really care about you know, a shallow depth of field. We don't care. There's a lot of things out there, but the consumer, on the other hand, I want shallow depth of field, or want clean images and high ISO. I want, you know, as many frames as possible. You know,
so if the whole photographic community wasn't so obsessed with specifications, maybe we would have had our digital Olympus trip by now.
Maybe speaking of which,
all the cameras we could have had.
Yeah, speaking of which,
we've had to give up on.
Speaking of which, I think that it's going to be interesting to see how other manufacturers going to react to the L10 if the L10 proven to be successful. At the current state, I think that it's going to be selling quite well. Whether it's going to be achieving a cult status like the Fujifilm X100 series remain to be seen. But the LX100 has always been a popular camera on the, in its own. You know, like many photographer, regardless of whether they're full frame shooters or not, they would love to have an LX100 because of how small it is, how capable it is. Now with the L10, it's going to be very interesting to see how the general market is going to react to it once it becomes available, especially once you start trying the camera in the store, because like I said, it is not a small camera anymore, unfortunately. So it's a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier. In fact, it's quite a bit bigger, quite a bit heavier. So it's basically the X100 size camera. So if you're happy with the X100 size, that's fine, that's not a problem. But for those who used LX100 before, thinking that, oh, maybe it's time to get the L10 to replace my LX100, you may find a little bit of disappointment when you actually see the thing in real life and see that, oh wow, it's quite a bit big, isn't it, that thing? And because it is actually a bigger camera compared to the old camera. So I would see that, you know, if this is going to be a successful case, as you know, as the return of premium compact camera, like a true return, I wouldn't say the X100 was kind of that category. It's more like an emotional piece that kind of trigger people to buy it. And but this is a functional, versatile camera. It's a practical camera that people can use on a daily basis. If this proven to be successful, what other people are going to think about it? You know, other manufacturers, was Sony going to do something about it? Although they already have the, you know, the RX100 or the ZV or whatever, but it's different, isn't it?
Sony would say they already made the RX1R3. so they don't need to do it again.
And then, of course, the Canon has its own answer with the a relatively large sensor compact camera, the V1. But what about the likes of OM System? You know, I think they probably the only manufacturer that hasn't really got a compact camera in today's catalog. And I mean, premium compact. Because you think about, we just talked about Canon, got the V1, we got the Sony, obviously they have the 1-inch sensor compacts they're still lurking around. And Fujifilm, they have the X100. If you count the XM5, which is also a very tiny camera, that's also one option. And OM is the only one that hasn't really got a compact camera out. And the smallest current camera that they have is this. And I wouldn't call the TG, the rugged camera, as a premium compact. It's a rugged camera, so it's a different category altogether. But they haven't got one. So would they finally thinking about releasing a proper premium feeling compact camera with a Micro Four Thirds sensor?
It would be nice if so, and I think it depends on how you define a compact camera. I don't think you can define it just by size. It's the design as well. Basically, a fixed integrated lens. I mean, Leica calls the Q a compact camera. It's not compact in terms of size, but it's compact in terms of design.
Yeah.
So I think people are using the term compact camera to indicate one that has a fixed, non-interchangeable built-in lens. Yeah. So it's size is not the only argument there, I don't think.
Yeah. It's interesting comment here. I'm just looks like I haven't seen you before, so welcome to our chat. And is the X106 that good? I've used one for 15 minutes. It was nice, but it didn't blow me away.
No, I owned the 5 for many months. I haven't used the 6, but I found the 5 quite big enough. I didn't like the idea that the 6 was fatter again for the IBIS. Yeah. It appealed to me enough to buy one, but not enough to use it. So it's a camera that I felt looked wonderful on paper until I had it and realized what it meant and what the restrictions were and how I felt about it. The AF was not quite snappy enough for my taste. And I think that's probably a side effect of the very compact lens. Yeah. You can't get a very fast and powerful AF actuator in there, so I wasn't mad on that, and I didn't end up using the hybrid viewfinder very much because, well, for various reasons. So on paper I thought that camera is fantastic, I've got to have one. When it came to owning one and using it, I didn't like it half as much.
No, I mean I think that the X100 is more of an emotional piece, like I said earlier, and It is. I think when you start using the camera, if you're a very experienced photographer, and you will soon realize that when you pick up the X100, it's got a lot of compromises, and when it comes to operational side of it, and you mentioned about the AF, it's not going to be quick enough, and in fact, most
for me quite.
No, I think most compact kind of like almost like a pancake lens, to be honest. That lens, and then.
It's like the Fujifilm 27mm pancake lens is noticeably slower than that is noticeably slower to focus than the slightly larger primes, and I think it's just because there isn't room for a fast AF actuator.
It's a nice size, but I mean we can't have everything. It's always got to be some kinds of compromises.
It's great lens optically.
Yeah,
I think probably the best way to handle a lens that's quite slow to focus is just to use back button focus and just focus when you need to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, every time you take a picture, you've got that annoying delay.
But when we talk about like being pocketable, when you put that little lens on the XM5, it is noticeably. Now product showcase not working. trying to get my face, and then so it's quite a bit smaller, and I think this You know, it's good. I mean, I've got a big cage on it, but at the moment, if you just look past the cage, it's actually a very small form factor combination. So this is you know what I would expect the L10 supposed to be in terms of size wise, and but it didn't. It turned out to be quite a bit bigger than XM5 actually.
I think it's pocketable with the lens retracted.
Yeah.
But like all compact cameras, the minute you extend the lens to shoot, it's not a pocket camera. But that's fine because you switch off, put it back in your pocket.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I would say that the EP7 and the 14 to 42 millimeter pancake zoom is as pocketable as my X100 was. They're about the same. They're about the same. I mean, the X100 was a better camera technically.
Yeah.
But if you choose the right lens, you can get a pocket-sized mirrorless setup. But there aren't many lenses that are well suited to that. And it's only a handful, if that.
Interesting comment from Big Mont. I use a zoom as prime all the time, specifically when I am checking if I'm doing specific focal length. I mean, I think that's responding to earlier comment about the the zoom range things, and I actually use if I have a zoom lens, I use it like a prime, so I always stick with one focal length almost all the time until I needed to change and zoom in.
I don't know how you guys do that. I don't know how you do it. I could only do it if you had little click stops. I can't do it otherwise. I haven't got the mental gears to lock into that way of working.
Yeah, and I saw this comment. I saw a review. They have click stop mode. The click stop mode that you're referring for the L10 is not actually click stop. It's actually customized the multi aspect ratio switches or the toggle switch on the top of the lens to react like a zoom preset. So you can fix certain focal length with those switches. So let's say 4x3, you can fix it to 28 mil. And the square 1:1 is going to be 50 millimeters. You can customize a certain focal length for those switches.
Can you?
So that so that means you can have click stop, but it's not really click stop. You're just customizing some buttons.
I know what happened to me. I customized it. Say that's really clever. Come back a week later and think this camera's broken. It's not working. I forget what I'd done a week before. That's why I don't use custom functions.
No, you soon forget unless you use it all the time, and I think that's the thing. Let's see what else here. Oh, I forgot about the LX3. Yes, Linda mentioned about the LX3. That was like before the LX100. You know, this I remember first Alex.
Yeah, the LX3.
The LX1, LX2, LX3. When did they become LX100? I think after LX6, they become the LX100.
Did it?
I can't remember now. I remember how much I love the LX3 and LX5, I think. And it's very tiny camera. It also had that multi-aspect ratio thing as well. And it's got a customizable ring in front of it. I loved that camera back to the bits when it first came out. I thought, this is a really cool compact camera, and you know, if you're a nerd about playing around with cameras with different features and functions, and that would satisfy you.
I've forgotten the LX3. I know no EVF. I'm trying to find out.
No, I don't think it's as an EVF too. I think it's just a back screen for that one.
Yeah. But it had the multi-aspect buttons, multi-aspect switch. I mean,
so the LX100 essentially is the upgraded version of the LX, and then and give you almost the same thing plus a bigger sensor, bigger zoom lens, and also an EVF to cover it for those people who need to use them. So I think it's still a good product, the L10 in general, and I'm quite happy that now Panasonic is being reanimated in the Micro Four Thirds world and giving us a brand new product. Like it or not, it's obviously very subjective, very personal, depending on your use case and how much you love the original LX cameras, and how much you would use this type of fixed lens camera, and whether you will find it useful in your particular scenarios. But for me personally, I think that it's a very, very enticing camera for me personally, because I do a lot of traveling. It could be a good second camera to have it around me.
I think that's the thing. It's a second camera. I think that's quite interesting.
Yeah, so
expensive second camera, but
nothing is cheap these days, unfortunately. Nothing is cheap. Let's look at it that way. So I'm quite happy about the L10. That's personally, and whether it's a really good camera or not, that had to wait and see, because I know it's got GX7 spec, and so that alone is quite enticing to me already, because I have a GX7, so I know what it can do. And so now it comes with a much smaller body. That means essentially this could be my B cam for the GX7, like for shooting video, because it can do practically the same thing. And but if I want to take it out for just a family day out, and this could be that kind of all-in-one travel hybrid camera. I can shoot video if I want to take some clips of the where I'm traveling to, and then also take some stills, which is a very capable stills as well. Although because of the lowered megapixel, it didn't really bother me that much, because at 20 it's still the same as the OM system camera, so it hasn't really got too much of a trade-off at the end of the day. So I'm quite happy about the specs in general. Price is probably the only sticking point, at 1,300 in the UK. Is gonna take some considerations, but I don't think it would take too far to convince me to buy one. But I need to really see it properly in the flesh, and hold one in my hands to make my final decision to getting one or not.
I don't ever take a lot of convincing, Jimmy. You don't take a lot of convincing.
Unfortunately, no. And I recently got the GM5 as well. So that's another camera.
Yeah, time to clear out the office again.
I know. I literally just starting to sell loads of stuff, and now newer thing coming out.
Yeah, you don't sell stuff just to buy more, or do you?
You never know. Maybe I'll consolidate all of them to get one Hasselblad. How about that?
You wouldn't like it. I don't think you'd like it.
No, you don't think so? I
don't know. I'd be interested if you can borrow one.
Yeah. Tell
me what you think. They might. Leica does I think Panasonic as well do a 48-hour loan.
They do. Yes.
So
They already announced it, that you can borrow the L10 for 48 hours. They already announced it once it becomes available in the UK, and you can actually sign up for that 48-hour try before you buy program kind of thing.
Try before you buy. Yeah.
So that could be something to consider, and if you really want to just give it a go in the UK, I'm pretty sure they have similar program in your regions, and I
don't know.
But we shall see. We shall see.
Incidentally, I'm not sure whether I got this early because I'm a subscriber, or whether I'm supposed to share it. But Jimmy, you'll know about this. Yeah. OM in the UK is shortly going to start is it a refurbished scheme, or is it a promotion? But you'll be able to get the original OM5 and the 12 to 45 f4 at a very attractive price.
Yes, they have what they call the hiking season promotion. I think
that's the one. That's the one. Yeah, it's just starting.
Yes, just starting. And if you're interested in buying the 12mm f2, I don't know any of you are. They are currently
half the price. Yeah,
less than half the price. You can get the lens for £279. Yeah.
Incredible.
It's ridiculously lower than any used prices. So you can actually get one brand new for lower than a used price. So that's crazy. I mean, I love that lens, and even though it's not perfect, but I love that lens. And if you're in the market looking for the 12mm f2 in the UK, go to the OM website. The current promotions allow you to get it for £279 for a lens used to sell for 700 quid. It's
not the best. It's not the best wide prime in the world, but it's a nicely made lens. It's still enjoyable to use, and so small.
Yeah. It's small.
It's small and fast.
Small and fast. It's got manual clutch, and it's a very lovely lens. And if you ask me,
if you want to do any like street photography at night, between that lens and OM System Ibis.
Yep.
You don't need a tripod. You can get superb results in the worst possible light.
Yeah. So there are a lot of things coming on the in the OM promotion through the summer.
Yeah.
And as far as I can tell, the current hiking season promotion is only one of them. There are a couple of others coming up. Just for UK and European listeners and viewers at the moment who are looking at this chat at the moment, I have a little treat for you guys. I've been talking about this every week, is that I do have a promotional code. That's my personal promotional code in the description below. If you use that code with any cashback, not current promotion, hiking promotion, because they already got a code in, so like you can't use two codes, so you can use one code at a time. But for cashback, it's very different. If you if it's a cashback, you basically pay full price first, and you claim the cash back afterward by sending them the claim form, basically. But with my code, you can actually use it for 10% extra discount. So you pay 10% off from the price that you want to purchase it. Then you claim the cash back afterward. That means you are doubling your discount. So for that, it will help you out quite a bit, especially for buying bigger items, for instance. So this is something to consider. So something to treat you guys, to appreciate your support and listening to this chat room right here, and be coming back every week. So hopefully you guys would save a little bit of money. I know everything's getting more expensive. Unfortunately, I don't have anything for Panasonic though, so that means you have to pay the L10 in full price.
Well, I think if you're in the States, it is a problem, because Panasonic's prices in the US do seem quite high to me compared to what they are in Europe and the UK. So it's bad luck, guys. Sorry about that. Nothing to be done about that, unfortunately. Doesn't help them very much.
No, yeah. So let's go back to this premium compact. Let's digress a little bit. We sidetrack a little bit now. We spent a lot of time talking about the L10, and I think, judging by the general reactions from everybody, and even from looking at the initial preview of the camera online, mostly are very, very positive, regardless of what we just said about the size and the weight and things like that. I mean, I think it is a good camera. It also could be a very, very hot seller as well for Panasonic. So this could become I wouldn't say blueprint, because this type of camera exists long ago, but more like a turning point for this type of camera. It's kind of coming back in a way. If it does, and that means that Canon have more reasons to continue to sell the G7X2 or 3, whatever, and
the same, doesn't matter.
and the Sony to continue to sell the RX100 for how many years they're gonna do that.
Why did Canon bring back the G7X when they could have brought back the G5X, which has an EVF and a 5x zoom?
Oh well. I just can't understand them. But anyway, so if the premium compact camera does make a return, and people are accepting the post £1,000 kind of or $1,000 mark in terms of pricing, if this is acceptable kind of pricing nowadays, and you never know what we're going to see in the next few years, and people might finally tap into this market again and rejuvenate this premium compact sector. Like I said earlier, OM System is the only camera makers now doesn't really have one that can contend with anything on the market at the moment. All of their cameras are practically interchangeable cameras, with the exception of the TG series, which is a rugged camera. So it wouldn't surprise me if OM does decide to launch a camera with fixed lens camera at some point, but only if their management can accept that they need to really thinking about what people want. And as much as I love the OM stuff and being with them for many years, but I always think that they are always a little bit slow to react to trend. I mean, I can understand that trend can be very, very risky, because you don't know whether it will work or not, because every sort of new camera, new product does involve a lot of R&D, a lot of money to make toolings and manufacturing. So it's a gamble.
You have to know how many you need to make as well. I'm trying to think back to because the question has been asked, will Panasonic play the availability game like Fujifilm did with the X100 VI? I'm not sure that Fujifilm did that, because I'm trying to think back to the timing. I have a feeling the X100 VI had been out for some considerable time before it had that moment of TikTok glory that launched its reputation. So in my mind, it's quite possible.
Yeah.
Fujifilm thought, how many will we sell? 10,000. That's all we'll make. So it wouldn't surprise me to find out that actually that's what happened, that they made that number. And it's just not practical to make another batch in that kind of quantity. I don't know. This is the sort of thing we'll never know, I guess. But I don't think Fujifilm deliberately withheld a camera to make it popular. That doesn't seem very likely. It's possible that they made some errors in estimating numbers, but I don't think Fujifilm did it. I don't think Panasonic would do it either.
But at the same time, though, I know you meant I can understand from that point of view for Fujifilm, but at the same time, they would have learned the lesson from the X105. So when it comes to X106, you would have increased the number, right?
You might have thought so. But for whatever reason, that didn't happen. But I suspect the economics of manufacturing cameras is tied very closely to how many you think you'll need. Yeah. And if it turns out you need a lot more than you thought, I guess you are going to have production problems.
Yeah. And this side to the screen is being a Pentaxian. Of course, you're going to have to say something about the MX1 and the Pentax Q, right?
Yeah.
Well, I personally love the MX1. I really do like the MX1 if you have a bigger sensor. Unfortunately, it really had that tiny little compact sensor that kind of really discouraged me buying one.
Me too.
Yeah. If even have a 1 inch sensor, I would have bought one.
I think, to be honest, calling it the MX1 offended me as a past MX SLR owner so much that I took against it on principle. I didn't feel it's appropriate for Pentax to name a small sensor compact after my favorite SLR camera. That annoyed me. So that I kind of they even used the same typeface as on the actual real Pentax MX.
It did. Well, you can see that Rod is very upset about that.
Yes. Well, it bothered me. It bothered me. So I felt that Pentax had squandered its heritage.
Yeah. Well.
And I thought, do you know what? This is very poor.
Well, I mean, but you see that now they got recalled GR, so like they don't really need to do the MX anymore. It'll
also cost you £529 to buy a good MX1 on MPB. Yeah, that's quite crazy. A lot of money. It is crazy.
Not for that sensor, to be honest. I mean, I wouldn't get into the hype to pay that sort of money for a used MX1, and
no,
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Exactly.
But what about Pentax Q? It's a quirky little camera, and
yeah, if you're trying to get me to say something rude about the Pentax Q, I'm not going to say
rude
anything
about it. I like the Pentax Q.
You're not going to trick me into that. My feelings for the Pentax Q are not very warm.
I'm just looking at Linda's remark on the it's almost mirroring what you said about the Fuji stuff, right?
That is Linda's remark that made me think of that. I can't see it myself, but what I can see is Lumix not knowing how many to make and getting it wrong.
That's why they're asking the retailer to register interest at the moment. So. Like Rod and I talked about earlier, before the stream started, we just said, we never seen anything like this before. No one would say register for interest, almost like
your interest,
almost like Kickstarter, right? In a Kickstarter,
crowdfunding, exactly, yeah.
How many of you are interested in buying this before I make a commitment to my factory?
Before I decide how many? No. I mean, I think that's it. Yeah. I think for the US. Panasonic has probably decided how many to make because they're available for pre-order in the States, aren't they? I'm not sure.
No,
but in the UK,
it be next year.
In the UK, people are just asking you to register your interest, which to me suggests that they don't want to commit till they know how many people want one.
Yeah, but but that's tricky, especially for camera. You know, like
yeah.
I don't know if I want it unless I can see it and touch it.
It can backfire as well, can't it? If you say, yeah, I want it, and then they say, oh, it'll be 3 months then, you say, no, forget it, I won't bother then. So you've lost a sale.
I want to get a camera before my holiday, you know, like that.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky thing. And
yeah.
I guess, you know, like Lumix really hoping that at least some enthusiasts or some Lumix fanboys and fangirls would jump ahead and straight away. At least some guaranteed sales numbers going to be there.
There has been a lot on YouTube, but of course YouTube is for an international audience.
Yeah.
I guess Panasonic will wait and see. I'm not sure Panasonic's the best judge of which of its cameras are the best ones.
Yeah.
You know, the TZ99 is all right. The ZS is ZS99, isn't it, in the US? The ZS300 is better. But you know, when Panasonic relaunched the is it ZS82 in the States or ZS80? The bridge, no, it's not ZS. TZ, the bridge camera with the huge zoom. That was probably the worst Panasonic bridge camera for quality they had. So they made some odd choices, but I think with the L10, Panasonic's done exactly the right thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just saw a comment here. And I'm going to bring it up. A big flaw the X106 has is big selling point. The film simulation. It really slowed down the processing. Does it really? I'm not entirely sure whether it slows down the processing.
I never noticed it on the XT5.
Not on the XM5 or XX2 either. So I don't realize that.
Well, I did notice something not really related necessarily, but it's to do with memory card speed. I had an XT1 that was quite fussy about memory cards. If you didn't have a fast memory card in it, the playback was slow. But if you wanted the instant playback to be quick, you had to put a faster memory card in. I've not encountered that before.
Yeah. So I'm not entirely sure whether the film simulation will slow down the camera.
I've not noticed it myself.
But speaking of film simulation, and another feature the L10 was boasting about is the real-time LUT and also the two new color profile that they put in there, which is got the Leica chrome color profile and the Leica monochrome.
Right.
Both. No, they've got both the color chrome version and the monochrome.
Is that for the Leica look? Yeah.
For the Leica look, yeah. So that's another quirk that they throw into the L10 camera, and I don't know how you feel about film simulations and also color profiles.
Well, I never felt Fujifilm's film simulations were all that. It's just a matter of some people like them, some don't. I find them a bit kind of tame, but I also find that I always have to do some processing on images anyway.
Yeah.
Because I find straight from camera images generally are either lacking a little bit of contrast, or the contrast is in the wrong place, or the color is just very slightly off. So I just tend to shoot raw and do any tweaks I need to later. I don't mind classic chrome. That's all right. Yeah. Velvia, it's not really Velvia. Astia is very nice actually. It's colourful. It looks quite natural, and it's not as harsh or as Velvia. It doesn't have quite the same weird colour shifts either. The negative sims are quite good as well. I'd say the negative simulations, Astia and classic chrome at a pinch, they're quite good, but I'm not fussed about the others.
So, I mean, how many of you actually shoot JPEG and using any of this color profile in any cameras, you know? Because the L10 obviously one of the main thing they sell about is the real-time LUT. I know they've been selling, they've been talking about real-time LUT for most of the recent Lumix cameras anyway. To me, I shoot RAW. If you ask me, and honestly saying I shoot RAW. So none of the film simulation really bother me, because even though like my XM5 has it, have a dedicated dial on top of it that let me select different film simulation. And my X-H2S has it, and even my OM3 has the creative dial, and I use that sometimes if I want to get something quick and share on the social media. But if I'm doing some professional job or something higher end and that require me to do final touches, RAW is the only way to go for. And so I really never really use any of these real-time color profiles, film simulation, whatever you want to name them. It's just not something that I would use constantly.
No, I do use. I would make an exception for art filters, because there are a couple of black and white art filters I like, and I quite like one of the pop art filters on home cameras, because they give a look straight from the camera that I'll probably try and achieve in software. So it's just as easy to use JPEG from the camera, but keep the RAW just in case I want to experiment with the RAW. But on any other brand, I don't use them.
No, I mean one good thing about the creative dial and OM system camera or Olympus camera in the past, like the Pan F has, and the EP7, is the how customizable you can in camera. So you can tweak so many things with that dial, and basically you can create a recipe by yourself, and then and if you with the OM3 and also the latest OI Share app, you can actually transfer that look from one to another. So essentially, it's more like a real-time LUT kind of thing. You can actually transfer the profile from one camera to another and share that with anybody else's as well. So they all have their own kind of system these days to deliver that kind of a convenience if you want to have a custom look to your JPEGs. But I do give praise on the OM3, the OM Systems Creative Dial, just because how easy it is. You can do it on the fly in camera rather than have to prefix something that you have to load up to the camera, or preload something, pre-create something beforehand. So this is something you can actually do that while you're at location.
Yeah, I think with the OM filters, they are a bit wilder than most camera picture styles, which is why I like them. But even then, I shoot RAW and JPEG at the same time, so I've always got the RAW file to fall back on if the JPEG has run out of dynamic range or there's something else I don't like about it. But yeah, I think the film simulation, if anything, putting a film simulation dial on the Fujifilm cameras has kind of not put me off, but it's not something I would use.
I'm just looking at this side to screen's comment. Which one are you talking about with $2,500? I just wonder what that is.
For things under 2,500.
Oh, for things under 2,000. That means that it will fall into that category because it's not that expensive.
Save yourself some money, if they've got one.
Yeah, if they get one, yes.
Oh,
they can be real. Okay, yeah.
I'd like to mention something briefly. It came up earlier. Here is me praising the Sony A7R6 for its stacked sensor. I can't remember who it is, but thank you very much. They pointed out to me it's not as fast in terms of readout speed as the
I saw the comment earlier, yes.
So I had a little look at that, and according to DP Review, Sony is calling it a stacked sensor, but it's a processing layer, and it doesn't have any DRAM on it, which I imagine is significant. So the readout speed is not as fast. So we're now in a new era, I think, Jimmy, where we've got unstacked sensors, partially stacked sensors, stacked sensors, and sensors that are stacked, but not in a very quick way. So it's great. It's just everything's going mad. So
what's the point of saying stacked sensor if it's not achieving a stacked speed?
Because it's a physical argument. They've stacked circuitry behind the sensor layer instead of within it. So they're still entitled to call it stacked sensor, even though it doesn't behave in a way that people have come to expect a stacked sensor to do. I mean, what is a partially stacked sensor? I don't know. Is that they poked some of the wires around the back but left some at the front? I don't know.
But one thing I could say, at least for my experiences now, I've shot with the quite a few stacked sensor camera. I actually do personally prefer stacked sensor camera. It just how snappy it is, how quick it is. not just about shooting speed, but also in general operation. The EVF seems more fluid, and then and it's also blackout free as well.
Really?
So it does actually translate to that. So your viewing experience is dramatically improved. So I had the OM1, the OM Mark II, the OM3 all stack sensor, my my Fujifilm X-H2S also stack sensor.
Yeah.
It's so different. I mean, I tried the non-stack HX2, which is the 40 megapixel sensor. Compared to the 26 HX2, which is the 1.5. It's quite a bit different actually. I actually much prefer the shooting experience with the stack sensor now. So now it's a personal thing. So I
probably have to do some retrospective apologizing about my remarks on the OM stack sensor, because I felt the OM1 and the OM3 were rather expensive. Turns out stack sensors do cost a lot of money, and everybody else's stack sensors cost even more. So
like if you look at all the stack sensor in larger format, they are quite a bit more expensive than Micro Four Third stack sensor, and it's just the way it is. It's just the technology is expensive. It's not quite a global shutter sensor speed, but it's the next best thing. Let's put it that way. So it's quite good for both viewing experience, but also if you use a lot of silent shooting, like electronic shutter, for instance, and the rolling shutter effect is also dramatically minimized because of how fast it is, the sensor. So I personally like it, and I use it a lot, and I'm liking it. So at the moment, all my working camera, the slowest one is actually my Nikon ZF, which is a traditional CMOS sensor.
There are sites which will show you readout speeds for most modern cameras, but it would be better if manufacturers put them in the specs. So essentially the readout speed is how long it takes for the sensor to do a full image capture, and it's surprisingly long. I think on the ZF it's something like a 20th of a second or something like that. It takes a long time to get all that data off the sensor. So that would be a very useful figure to have. I think it should be in the camera specs, but of course makers would rather just sell you something with a stacked sensor and without having to tell you whether it made any difference.
Linda got a comment here as well, which is considering how much people pay now for 18-20 € compacts.
I know.
So this is another reason why I said the L10 pricing is reasonable, because you think about the GM5. We've been talking about GM5 pricing, which is like ridiculous. In the UK, a kind of okay condition GM5 will sell for £900. An excellent condition GM5 is £1,000. It's over £1,000. If you think about that kind of prices that people are willing to pay, an L10 is not expensive at all.
Now, you say that. Does anyone remember the Canon PowerShot G1X Mark III?
G1, yes, I remember that.
APS-C. Three times zoom. Canon seemed to give up on that camera a bit prematurely, I thought. But that's let me see how much they cost.
That was a nice piece of camera.
Very compact. You wouldn't find an APS-C camera as small as that. Oh no, didn't find one. Hang on, let's keep looking. I used one briefly for review. I wouldn't say it's the best lens in the world. Not the quickest camera, but
while you're searching, I'm going to bring another comment up. Patrick has to say that the film simulation on the X100 slows down when you add grain.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I didn't know that.
That's interesting. Right.
Yeah.
I need to try it then to see whether it does slow down things.
I often use art filters on my OM gear, which adds film grain, or one of the monochrome modes with film grain added. I've not noticed any slowdown on those cameras.
Yeah. And there are a couple of things as well. Maybe my camera won't show it because I got less megapixel to play with, and then so it's not as demanding to simulate those structures in the actual picture itself, so it may not slow down as much as your X100 does. But the OM3, even if I add grain to the to my JPEG images, it doesn't really slow down at all. It just it just keep firing. And
there was a time Olympus cameras warned you that art filters might slow the camera down, especially if you're shooting video. But I've just not seen it. Not seen it with the modern cameras.
No.
£550 for a G1X Mark III with the damaged front filter thread.
How much?
574. That's not bad for a 24 megapixel APS-C compact with a 3x zoom and a flip out screen.
You can fix the filter thread if it just bent. You can just get one of those filter stretcher.
It might be some more complicated plastic mechanism because it's an extending lens. But that is a lot cheaper than the G7X3.
Yep.
Even used, I think. What a strange world we live in.
Yeah. And someone here, I'm a big Michael Forsyth fan. I think the OM1 is hard to beat for wildlife. Quite. I think, like I said already, because it's got a stack sensor, and it really is a fast camera. For those who haven't tried any fast cameras before, obviously there are similar sort of speed for bigger format, like the Canon R1, for instance, or the A1 in Sony, or the Z9, and basically you have to go to the flagship level camera to get that kind of speed. The Lumix cameras doesn't go that fast because still using the traditional CMOS sensor, or what they call the LifeMOS sensor, and the OM1 is really speedy when it comes to that. So I think if you are into wildlife and if you do a lot of burst shooting, like fast frame shootings, and I think the OM1 is really quite hard to beat in terms of both functionalities wise and also in terms of fluidity when you come to operations, because it's just how fast it is, the camera.
There's I'm just looking at some readout speeds now, and they're quoted in various ways, but one way to do it is to quote the shutter speed in terms of how long it takes to clear the sensor readout.
Yeah.
The OM1 is in this list at a 1/2 of a second, which sounds slow because remember you're reading the sensor in strips.
Yep.
So it's effectively much shorter. But something like the Fujifilm GFX100S, 1/6 of a second. That's how long it takes to read the full sensor. But I don't know how much of this is with the electronic shutter versus the mechanical shutter, because that makes a difference too. So it's a complicated thing, but I think the upshot is so that a fully stacked sensor does give you significantly faster readout speeds, which probably won't have an impact for stills photographers unless they're shooting very fast action. But it's certainly a factor for video and run and gun style video.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, shooting wise is probably very similar, but it does affect the when you view the EVF, because that's using the full sensor reading at in real life, in real time, to actually display the images through the screen in the viewfinder. The faster the sensor, the more frame rate you can project into the viewfinder, the smoother it is. So it just looks a lot better when you have a fast sensor. That's for sure.
You do notice that with older cameras that have EVFs, the EVF can be pretty sluggish.
Yes, yeah, that's where you always get the delayed reaction as well. The
delayed reaction, yeah.
And it looks like Linda is your dog's fan.
Yeah. Dog's here.
Yeah. Not chewing cables.
She doesn't like me talking to the screen. She thinks I should be talking to her. She's very jealous of my attention. She'll start chewing stuff soon.
Yeah.
The minute I stop patting her and holding her, she'll find something bad to do to make me pay.
Revenge time.
Revenge for not giving her all my attention.
So Lentnew here saying, but if Panasonic put an EVF on the S9 and I'll stop using Michael Forsyth for general photography. I don't know. Even if the S9 has EVF, I don't think it will stop me from using Michael Forsyth.
Has anyone here who's used an S9 been tempted by Sony A7C.
Because that would be an interesting thing, yes.
It's kind of the same proposition, but you do get an EVF. It's not the world's best, but you do get an EVF.
Yeah.
I think the different...
sorry. Gonna continue.
Yeah, you're looking at the titanium L10 comments.
I know. Pre-order are sold out already in US.
We see if the titanium one is sold out, it does mean this is clearly a kind of prestige collector purchase.
Yeah.
Not just for people wanting to take pictures. No,
this will be the one who putting a protective film on the body.
yeah. Putting one of those screen protectors on the back.
Yeah. And then another leather case on top of it.
Yeah, and then not using it. Keep it in a box. That's the way to keep the value, because you never know if they do become hard to get. You might be able to buy it for $1,500 today and sell it for $2,000 next month.
Well, funny enough, we don't even see the titanium pre-order in the UK at the moment. All they have is just register your interest for the black and silver only. We haven't even seen the titanium being an option in any store at the moment.
No.
Even Panasonic's own UK website doesn't even list the L10. So it's kind of strange that US is...
This is what prompted my remark earlier. I'm not convinced that Panasonic has made a decision about putting it into the UK market, because the UK website has published the press release, but it's not listing it as a product.
No.
So it's all quite peculiar.
It is. Well, but if the retailers are allowing you to register interest, that means
register interest,
there is some...
Never seen that before. No.
There are some thoughts about bringing it into the UK.
There is some uncertainty, should we say.
Right. There you go. Someone used S9. Here you go. Never been tempted by the Sony because I don't want to invest in multiple mounts.
No. I certainly understand that. I just mention it because if people like the form factor of the S9, the A7C kind of has that with an EVF. But of course, if you've already gone for one format rather than another, that's academic. Yeah. But I think it's interesting because I've used the A7C and I quite like it, but I think, as Chuck L says, it's all right with the small lens. It's the same deal as you get with the S9. It's okay with the small lens.
Yeah.
The minute you put a larger lens on, you really need a better grip on the camera.
Yeah. But that's always been the case,
Always been the case, yeah.
Even with Michael Four Third, as soon as they put a big zoom lens on it, you need a bigger camera,
You need the OM1. The OM5 is fine until you've got a big lens, I think.
You need the EM1X. You need the EM1X to handle those big giant lenses, that's what you need.
And it's not even the giant ones. If you're on full frame and you're shooting with a 24-70 f2.8, those are big lenses. You don't want those on a small body.
And now they're going even bigger, right? The f2.8 is no longer the standard now. F2 is the standard. So now you've got f2 zoom lenses. So they're even bigger and heavier.
Yeah. Just to clarify what Jury is asking about, my point was I think the S9 has got a lot of attention for its size and price. I think Sony kind of did it already with the A7C, but I don't think Sony did it quite right. But it's interesting proposition. I think the S9 is very interesting camera. If only there were a couple more small lenses.
Yeah.
But then if you're going to shoot video properly, you're probably going to have it in a cage or on a gimbal or rigged up. So then it doesn't matter anymore because the whole package is bigger anyway. So it's right. Interesting. It's interesting. I think the S9 is probably better adapted for video than stills for sure.
Yeah. So it's interesting.
But do you think using similar logic, Panasonic should have, or might still, make an EVF-free filmmaking MFT camera. So like the size of the GX9 maybe, without even an EVF, but with the GH7 technology. So you've got a powerful. So like today, Canon launched the R6V.
Yep.
Which is basically the EOS R6 Mark III without a viewfinder.
Yep.
Maybe Panasonic should make a camera like that based around the GH7.
I mean, it would make sense. I mean, they're basically making a black magic camera, so yeah. I mean, it would have its appeal, but then again, depending on what kind of prices they're asking for, because the GX7 is not cheap. The GX7 is still commanding a premium, and even without the EVF, if you let's say closer to £1,800. The ZR is not that much more, and you get a full frame sensor with similar sort of spec. So
that is true.
It's going to be a tough sell, in that scenarios. And so I think it needs to be significantly cheaper if they're going to do something like that. But then now they got L10, which is essentially hawking up that space for that price. So I'm not sure whether that will work or not. Yeah.
Be interesting to see how it all pans out.
Yes. S9 is definitely more a video camera. It's more interesting because the style.
More than a video camera, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. I think so, yeah.
I think, like another interesting thought, a parallel thought about the L10 is that this may upset some people. This may upset even my followers in the OM cam. Is that has Lumix L10, or has Lumix made the L10 really becoming what we wanted from OM, the Pen F2? Because it's a rangefinder style camera. It's got the EVF. And I know it's got fixed lens, not quite an interchangeable lens, but it is a rangefinder style camera. It is more or less the same size as the Pen F, a little bit bigger. And it's here. And for £1,300, not that much more in terms of RRP compared to the Pen F when it first came out.
I don't know, because I think the appeal of the Pen F is you can put on the 17 f 1.8 if you want. Or use the 12 to 45 zoom. I think the appeal of the Pen F is different because it's an interchangeable lens camera. It's more in the style of a Leica M, rather than a compact camera. So I don't know. It might do, but I think Pen F fans are unlikely to be moved by the L10. But
no, we won't. But
tell me I'm wrong.
But the kind of thought process behind it is that it is a rangefinder style camera. It's not quite like traditional SLR style. The EVS is not on top of in the middle of the top plate. It's on the side of the top plate. So it's essentially a rangefinder style camera. And it shapes like one too. So it's just a boxy camera that reminiscence of a rangefinder camera. It's interesting. It's interesting to me that it kind of hit the note of some Michael Four Third wishes. Hoping for a Pen F replacement or GX9 replacement, and now Lumix has given them that. Although it's not interchangeable, where a system camera, but at least it's kind of carried the spirits within the camera.
I don't know, different spirit. I don't know. We'll see. You could be right. You could be right. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, one thing that I don't like, which we talked about before the stream starter, is that it may look good with the photos, the stock photo, with when the lens is retracted into the body, and unfortunately, once it's turned on the camera, the thing sticks out, and it sticks out quite a bit.
Massive.
Yeah. So it's crazy when you think about that.
It kind of spoils the illusion.
It does.
And the fact, I think, as well, that it's an electrically powered zoom rather than a mechanical one, I think.
It's electric. It's electric, yeah.
Then they're never quite the same.
No,
but
especially...
you can't have everything. You've got to choose what you want most, haven't you?
Yeah, and especially it's quite slow zoom. If I saw I saw it in operation, it's quite slow.
Right.
The zooming action is quite slow, and so you really have to shoot like a prime. So you can't really change focal length at the time. You know, like in a split second, you have to like wait for it to go to that focal length and then come back.
Yeah, that's why I do like a mechanical zoom.
Yeah.
I don't want to go on about my Fujifilm X30 again, but I'm going to, because the way that's designed, as you switch it on, you're also rotating the zoom mechanism. You can switch it on and zoom to the focal length you want, even before you put the camera to your eye, which is quite nice.
Yeah, well, that's why you can pre-program those click stop, where people call it the click stop focal length. So when you switch on the camera, you have to switch on a certain fixed preset focal length. You can go straight there when you turn on the camera.
But doesn't that feel a little bit like using a complicated electronic feature to do something you could have done mechanically? I'm just asking.
Yes, basically it, yes. And but you know, it's still there. It's still there for you to use, and whether you like it or not. I just saw a couple of more comments here about Linda saying you can't find the L10 on the German page. No. Like I said, not in the UK page either.
Maybe it's not. Maybe Panasonic's still deciding about Europe.
Yeah.
And the way the press release is worded, I think, on a Panasonic side, is a celebration of an anniversary, and leading with the titanium edition, rather than saying, "Oh, look, a new camera, go and buy it."
Yeah, which is kind of like a weird launch to me, you know. And
it's very soft launch.
It's definitely a new camera. It's not a reskin camera because it's got new sensor, new spec, new body. It's not a reskin thing that we talked about, and so it's a new camera. So it's very, very subtle launch in my eyes.
Linda's saying the A7C would be more attractive to me than the S9, but it's a JPEG shooter. I'm not sure I love Sony colors. That is interesting, because I do find different cameras give me more trouble than others getting the colors I want, even with RAW files.
Okay.
I've got two Sony bodies.
Yeah.
I've got the A7 II and the A7 III, and the colors are a bit different.
Yeah.
But I've also noticed my Pen F's colors I'm not quite as happy with as I am with the later cameras.
Oh, okay.
Never mind JPEG or RAW. Maybe it's the profiles offered by Lightroom and Capture One, but there is a difference in the color rendering of different cameras. There is, and it can bother you even with RAW files, because they're not quite as neutral as you might imagine.
It's also interesting to me that about this comment as well, and because traditionally Sony did have terrible skin tone colors. That's my personal preference anyway.
Right.
And but they have improved over the years. I have to say the last two Sony cameras that I tried, the A7 IV and the A7R4, 5, can't remember. And the skin tone has improved a lot, and they're still not matching that I would like to say like Canon skin tones or Olympus skin tones. To me, they are the most natural or most close to the real life colors.
They are pretty good.
Yeah, even Nikon tends to go slightly more magenta than anybody else's. But you can get used to that kind of colors. You know, people may say that I prefer the Nikon colors, but you know, in my eyes, because I was so accustomed to Canon when I first started photography, so I'm more used to the Canon color, and so anything that's kind of like off to that kind of spectrum, then I would say that is wrong.
You're very sensitive to skin tones. I'm very sensitive to the blues in blue skies.
Right.
And I don't like it when they just get a hint of cyan. Yeah. And I've definitely seen a lot of difference between camera brands and even different camera models when it comes to rendering skies in landscapes. So I do go along with that. But so Chuck L says, I've watched in real time as my Sony camera cools beautiful golden hour colors. I've always found practically all the digital cameras I've used have struggled with golden hour. Because they somehow turn gold into brown mud. And that sounds like an exaggeration, but it's true. I've been out shooting, but the light has been absolutely wonderful. And you get back, and it's just like brown and gloomy. It's not an exposure issue. I'm not even sure it's a white balance issue. It's just something about color rendering. But oh, sorry, excuse me a moment. Oh.
Okay, right. I just want to talk about one comment here. Jury is putting this up here. I'm pretty sure Lumix will do the L10 like the S9, and there will be 3 to 4 more colors by next year for different regions. I would say yes if the L10 proven to be successful, and it's quite interesting you mentioned this because I know earlier some of you were talking and discussing about the limited or the special titanium gold color. I remember the S9 also had that limited titanium version. Was it last year, the year before?
That's my advice. Don't get a dog.
So I had this comment just pinged up earlier, and Jury was saying that the Lumix is going to do what they did to the S9, so the L10 will have different colors.
That'd be a good idea.
You know what? I wouldn't disagree. If the L10 tends to be a big seller, they could definitely try to do that. Just when everyone was talking about earlier, the limited or not limited, they didn't never say limited. There's a special titanium gold color edition.
Yes.
And remember, the S9 had the special limited titanium version last year, and they were sold out almost in a few days. But this year, who knows? This last month, Panasonic decided to issue a standard titanium version for the S9. So those who spend a little bit more fortune than buying the titanium colors no longer feel special because now you can buy it regularly.
And it is only titanium color. It's not titanium. Of course, it's not titanium.
No.
I'd rather have red or green or blue, to be honest. But you should do a poll. You should do a poll to find out what color people would buy.
Yeah, but I do like the L10 titanium gold version, not because of the color, because of the placement of the Lumix logo. You know, the silver and the black. The Lumix logo is in the front of the camera, so you can see it on the top right corner of the camera body. The gold version doesn't have anything. It's quite clean. They only have a very tiny Lumix marking at the bottom right of the rear of the body. So I like that placement. I don't know why they're just doing it as a general thing. So
you don't want people to know you're using a Lumix.
No. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. So that's the reason. That's the reason. And also Linda is saying that now. Does anyone believe that Panasonic will make smaller MFT bodies again? Oh, hard to say, really. And I think currently OM is the only one who makes small MFT bodies. Well, the EM5, the OM5 is the only small body MFT cameras now that you can buy new. And
you still get the EP7 in Europe here and there, but not in the States.
Actually, the EM10 Mark IV is still available.
For now, yeah.
But I'm pretty sure they are new old stock, so I don't think they're actually in production now. I think they're pretty much they already stopped production, so whatever stock they still have, this is it. You know, if you want to get an EM10 Mark IV, this will probably be the last chance you can get it for the next year or so, and once it's sold out and that's it, they will be gone. And unless they're going to bring out a successors for it, but I would say very unlikely from my standpoint. I think the OM is going to streamline the product line, and just to keep it the OM series, the OM5, OM3, and the OM1. They might bring in new camera. You may have seen some of the rumor mills and talk about the OM's executive talking in Japan. They are not ruling out of new pen cameras, so that suggests to me that at some point a new pen camera is going to come out. Whether it's going to be Pen F or Pen EP or EPL, we don't know. And so just have to wait and see what happens. But I've also been told, there could be some new product that is completely off the current lineup. So that could be something to be excited about as well at some point. Again, no timeline, nothing. So I don't know exactly when that will happen, but maybe next year, maybe the year after. I hope sooner than later, though. You know, if this kind of L10 thing is really kicking up the market, who knows? Like I said, how about the OM trip like we talked about last week? And then if an OM trip does come out, a fixed 35mm lens, that will be quite interesting.
Or a 3-step zoom, like the Leica.
A tri-Elma.
That's the one. Tri-Elma, yeah.
Like a tri-Elma trip. Yeah, that'll be cool. Yeah, I'm really excited. You know, like I said, this year, you might have seen a couple of videos, and we talked about in this live stream a few episodes before. I think this year and the next couple of years, is going to be Michael Four Third year, and people are looking into the compact form factor once again, looking at something smaller, travel friendly, and doesn't cost a bomb, and that's the main thing. And you know, I know when I say it doesn't cost a bomb, you know, the L10 is not exactly a cheap camera, but by comparison to other format, it is still relatively competitive pricing. You know, if you're looking at the specs and stuff, even interchangeable cameras, if you look at the likes of OM3, you know, all the others, you know, you compare to all the cameras, and with that kind of level of specs and sensors technology, you will have to pay 2 times the price for those. And so I think it's pretty decent.
It is. I just think the camera makers are slow to catch up with what's clear to a lot of the series, that people don't necessarily want to chase the specifications. They want to chase the look and feel, and the handling and the image of a camera. So that if people are paying over the odds for a G7X Mark III, then it's not technology they're chasing. It's a kind of look and a feeling.
Yeah, and we've been talking about this for a long time.
Camera makers need to register this.
They do.
And
which is what Lars is saying. You know, like the OM3 and the L10 is clearly showing that they listen. I hope that they stay listen, and not just a one-off. And because you know, like so far, you know, if I'm being honest, Fujifilm is the only camera makers that actually do listen to the customers and seeing.
It does seem that way.
What they like to see. All the other camera makers is more like following trends, and at the moment, a good example for Nikon, you know, the ZF-C and the ZF both are retro camera, but looks more and more likely to me it's a one-off project. And then
you think so?
Yeah.
Like the DF was.
Because they never really continue with those retro-looking lenses, and the body requires those type of lenses, smaller primes, you know, and Nikon doesn't do any of those stuff. You know, they have big lenses. So it's still, to me, it's more like a let's see how it goes, and if it does well, that's good. We sell a few more cameras, but they don't really think about, you know, okay, what's the next step if it's proven to be successful? You know, what should we do the next step? They should really continue pumping out smaller primes, even if it's slower, 2.8, 3.5 lenses. Make some smaller lenses for those for those retro cameras, and build up an ecosystem there. So if they do launch a successor for the ZF-C or the ZF, they have something for the user to buy. But at the moment, they still only have the 28mm 2.8 and the 40mm f2, and that's it. You know, like they don't have anything else
with that particular look.
Yes. Yeah. Which is sad. To see. You know, it's almost like Nikon being Nikon again, and
or you just buy Voigtlanders and use manual. You know, accept manual focus, but that's the only other way to keep that retro vibe going. Sadly.
Yeah. So
at
to me,
at least if you were to buy Voigtlander lenses, you'd have the aperture ring.
Or buy some Chinese lenses. Chinese Z-mount lenses do have aperture rings, so so that's really is my something that really bothered me for a long time, is about, you know, these manufacturers out there, all of them, you know, do they really listen to customers? Do they really listen to photographer or even just normal consumers, exactly what they really want to see? They're always chasing specs and technologies, which is great, you know, for those who really use those technologies and speed. But not all of us are like that, though, unfortunately.
A couple of things I've noted since we're talking about the L10, just as a parting remark, is that at that price, it's on the same level as the Fujifilm X-E5.
Yeah.
Which you can buy.
Yep.
So that's an interesting comparison. I think I see Lars is saying, I hope producers understand that photo and video cameras should have different bodies. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think you really hit the nail there, Lars. And we've been talking about like hybrid cameras never make sense. I mean, there should be no hybrid cameras. You either shoot videos or you shoot photos. You can't mix them together. So and they do function differently. You do hold them differently as well. Like you see how many people hold as a videographer. You hold the camera very different to a photographer. As simple as that. So that means a body shape should adapt to the users of what they do.
You need the controls in a different place.
Yes.
Because they operate differently.
Yeah.
You need bigger screen, please. You do video camera.
You need bigger screen and things like that. And you see all these hybrid cameras these days. You know, they you know, it's cool. It's a hybrid camera, so make a prom light in the front, and you know, but a photographer never really bothered about the prom light, you know, and all of these little things. And I know for people who shoot video, yes, I need a prom light. To make sure
you mean
that,
like a tally lamp? Something show it's filming.
Yeah, the red light in front of it, like having lit up. And
that's right. Just so you know. Otherwise, you do what I do every time, which is stop filming when you thought you were starting, and start filming when you thought you were stopping.
Yeah, basically. But so that's basically today's talk. I think we had a really, really good chat about the L10, and it's certainly fun to see you guys are contributing to the chat room here today, getting very animated, which we would like to see as well. But yeah, before we say goodbye, and please do leave some comment down below. Would like to hear you know, your thoughts about the L10. If you just missed the show, you're just joining us, and we are essentially wrapping things up now. I think overall, just to summarize everything together today, I would like to ask you, Rod, first. In general, do you think the L10 is a good camera?
I think it's terrific. I just wish it didn't cost quite as much.
Yeah.
But I think it's great to see.
Yeah.
I think it's marvelous. Yeah.
Yeah. And myself, also a yes, and I think it's a great camera. And like I said already, even when I was using Olympus cameras, I always wanted to get LX100 because of its compact size, and I think for the feature sets it has in a tiny compact camera body like this is something that I always wanted to have. The L10, yes, is a spiritual successor to the LX100, not quite a direct successor, like I mentioned before, because it's a bigger body.
It's close enough. It's close enough, though, he says.
I don't know. It's like you said, you know, it's 45% more expensive. It's probably 40%. Probably 40% bigger and heavier.
You're a hard man to please. 25% heavier. No, actually, about 35% heavier. It is true.
Yeah. So it's not quite. You know, if you grow that big, in one generation, I don't think it's a direct successor. It's a new product. So and that's probably why the reason they actually name it differently. They don't call it the LX103. They call it an L10. Just to make it a new product. Yeah.
Except for the L10 they made in 2007. Had to get that one in again.
So, but anyway, so my summary is that I do think it's a great camera. I think that we needed to see that camera. Especially from Lumix, because they have been so quiet for the last couple of years. To see something as you know, as interesting as this is good. You know, and so I think there is some hope that Lumix is going to bring us some more interesting stuff in the future, and certainly something to reconfirm that their commitment to the formats, because you know, so long they haven't really done anything to Micro Four Thirds, and even though technically this is not a Micro Four Third camera, but it is a Micro Four Thirds censored camera.
Just a
So so it's interesting to see that. So I'm now hoping that maybe OM would do something about it too. So I know this is only a dream, it's only a dream, but I would like to see maybe one day we'll see a premium compact camera that can rival the L10 from OM, where there's going to be a fixed lens, fixed focal length trip, or maybe something that is kind of equivalent, have like a built-in zoom lens with a premium feel compact camera. Just don't sell as much as Lumix though. If you make it like about 1,200, 1,100, maybe even 1,000, I'll be happy to buy two.
two.
Just to show support to the OM.
By the way, Jim, while I remember, I can't be here next week, I'm afraid.
Okay, all right, okay.
I'm going to be in Norway.
Oh, Norway.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Anyone in Norway want to greet Rod and take him out?
I have an itinerary. I'll have to figure out the dates, but
yeah, that would be nice. Well, enjoy your trip next week.
Thank you.
So next week that means I'm going to be soloing, and let's see what happens then. Hopefully there'll be not another new camera coming out. Yeah, let's see what happens. Yeah. But anyway, so thank you very much for you guys for joining us today again. And remember to leave some comment down below about your thoughts on L10, or what sort of thing would you like to see, in the future from Lumix, and maybe even OM as well. And because MFT, Michael Four Third, is alive and kicking, and then I'm hoping to see more stuff from for this particular platform that I so love. So thank you very much. Oh, hang on. Last comment. Found it. Terrific news. Viltrox will soon launch the first MFT lens. Ooh. Okay. I'll find out from them. I'll let you know. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye for now.
So, bye.